Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Walker, Director of the Office of Challenge Programs, and I welcome you to this informational webinar for new recipients of Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants, or ICB for short. Congratulations on your successful applications. Your organization is one of 30 whose project was approved for funding out of a total of 138 submissions to the May 2023 deadline, and that computes to an overall success rate of about 22%. Although the ICB program has been sunsetted, I wanted to assure you that NEH has set aside funding to cover all of your projects. Please don't worry that the money will run out. We have an excellent, dedicated challenge programs team ready to serve your needs, answer questions, and resolve any issues with your grants that may arise. Please don't be shy in reaching out to us. I will ask each of the staff to introduce themselves. Then we will start the webinar, touching on several practical topics regarding your NEH award, and end with a period for questions from you. The webinar will be recorded and a YouTube link will be sent to you so that you can rewatch or share it with colleagues. And with that, John Cox, over to you.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm John Cox, a Senior Program Officer in the Office of Challenge Programs. We're glad that so many of you were able to join us today, and we're looking forward to working with you over the coming months. Tatiana?
Great. Welcome, everybody. Congratulations on receiving your offer for a ICB award. I'm Tatiana Ausema, and I am one of the program officers here in the division.
Hi, good afternoon and good morning to everybody. I'm Nicole Balderisi. I'm a program officer here in the Office of Challenge Programs, and just want to give you all a warm welcome and congratulations. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Unger, and I am the Program Analyst here in the Office of Challenge Programs, and I'll echo everyone's congratulations on your successful applications.
We're also joined by some colleagues from the Office of Grant Management. So Pam, I'll ask you to say hi.
Hello, welcome. I'm Pam Thompson, your grant administrator, and I will be administering your offers as well as your awards. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Jackson. I'm not sure, Jack. Okay, I'm sorry.
Everybody. I am here. Jackson. Sorry, my camera is being weird and not working right now. I'm Jackson Smith. I am another grants administrator for these awards. I am looking forward to working with all of you on them.
Great, thank you, Jackson. And Anne?
So, good afternoon. It's great to meet you all, and I look forward to working with you. My name is Anne Peetson. I am the Federal Preservation and Environmental Officer. So I'll be working with you on meeting any Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act or National Environmental Policy Act requirements, as well as Build America, Buy America Act and Davis-Bacon requirements. Thank you, John.
So we're just a small part of the team at NEH that works together to help administer your grant. We're truly here to help and hope that you feel comfortable contacting us throughout the period of your project. Today's webinar is intended to provide a basic orientation to your challenge grant, including what to expect when you receive your formal offer letter, meeting the terms and conditions described in that offer letter, beginning your fundraising and certifying your matches, starting your project, and communicating with NEH. A few housekeeping items before we get started. If you're willing, we'd like staff from each project to add their name, institution, and project to the Teams chat as an initial informal introduction. And next, if you have questions or if there are technical issues that I see there have been already, please send a note using that same chat function. We'll be monitoring questions as they come in, and we'll have a period of Q&A after the webinar concludes. When asking a question, please include your name and institution so that we can follow up with you if necessary. During the Q&A session, we'll focus on general questions that might pertain to multiple projects. If you have questions about your specific project, until you have access to EGMS Reach, please reach out via email directly to your program officer or to challenge@neh.gov to set up a phone call or a video call with us. If you've worked with a federal partner before, you know that we love acronyms and shorthand. We'll try our best to define our acronyms and terms as we go along. But when we send these slides out to you in a few days, we'll also provide a glossary to help project staff with some common terminology. The glossary also includes a link to the Administration of Challenge Grants manual, as well as NEH's general terms and conditions. These can be found on the NEH website under the Manage Your Award. This section of the NEH website also contains helpful links to other policy documents and NEH guidance, such as reporting requirements, certification forms, and publicity guidance. Our website will always have the most up-to-date versions of these forms and documents, so while the glossary that we send will be a handy reference, please remember to consult the website for specific guidance. The infrastructure and capacity building challenge grants have been offered since 2018. Your project, again, is one of 30 approved in this cycle for funding, and you now form part of a distinguished group of about 200 ICB grantees in various phases of their challenge grant. The program is intended to promote fundraising and for high-impact, long-lasting initiatives that support humanities efforts nationwide. Supported activities have included, here's some examples, the fabrication and installation of permanent exhibition infrastructure, the construction of a new public library, costs related to the construction of a University Institute of Arts and Humanities, construction of a humanities center to encourage public humanities engagement, and preservation of historical sound recordings. A successful challenge project has a number of phases and milestones along the way. You've already completed some of these, of course, the pre-planning, submitting an application, and making it through review. Right now, you are awaiting your formal offer letter from NEH. This is the document that will lay out the terms and conditions of your award. This will arrive via our EGMS Reach system, which we'll discuss today, and it will include terms and conditions required for you to receive an award from NEH. The offer letter and the next steps will be the main focus of today's webinar. Please know again that we are here to help your project succeed. In order to do that, it's important for you to know the roles and responsibilities of both the NEH staff and your project team. So each project has an assigned program officer who will be your point of contact for the programmatic objectives of your project. Through your reports, phone calls, and messages, program officers will monitor the implementation of your project and ensure that you have the resources and coordination to address the conditions of the award. Program officers are available to answer programmatic questions such as how to address changes in schedule or work plan, staff, or scope, and we will review your performance reports each year. Each project also has an assigned grants management specialist, sometimes known as a grant administrator, in NEH's Office of Grants Management. And if your project involves construction, renovation, or ground disturbance, you will work with our Federal Preservation and Environmental Officer. Either Pam Thompson or Jackson Smith of NEH's Office of Grant Management will be your NEH GMS. They are your point of contact for financial and grants management monitoring and technical assistance, and are responsible for issuing your offer letter, approving certified gifts, and processing changes such as a revised budget, changes in project director, adjustments to project scope, or award extensions. Ann Peason, the Federal Preservation and Environmental Officer for NEH, will be your point of contact for all federally mandated reviews, such as compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act which we call, again, Section 106, and the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. She also provides technical assistance on construction and property requirements, such as Davis-Bacon, Build America, Buy America, or BABA, and procurement, bonding, and federal interest. And we'll talk a bit about all of these throughout the webinar. NEH requires challenge grant recipients to identify two key participants, the project director and an institutional grants administrator. Most of you are probably your institutional project director. The project director is the person responsible for the programmatic aspects and the day-to-day management of the project. The project director will submit performance reports to NEH. The institutional grant administrator, or IGA, is responsible for the administration of the NEH award, which includes monitoring the project budget and ensuring compliance with the terms and conditions of the award. The IGA is responsible for submitting certified gifts and the financial reports to NEH. Both the project director and the institutional grant administrator will be required to access NEH's EGMS Reach system to review and submit documents, respond to messages, and manage the award. Your EGMS Reach account will become active as soon as your offer letter and associated documents are ready. Once your account is active, it's essential that you route your communications and documents through the EGMS Reach system. Messages will go to the entire NEH team working with your project and will automatically update if NEH staff change. Messages and documents also are automatically entered into your official award file. All communications need to come from the PD or IGA, and you may not delegate this role to another staff member or share your login information without NEH approval. When you receive notification that your offer is waiting in EGMS Reach, please log in to view the files and familiarize yourself with the portal. The first document that will be waiting for you in EGMS Reach is your offer of support. And when you receive the offer, please do the following. And this is just an example. First, read your offer letter. It's important to carefully read this letter and the documents referenced in it. The NEH General Terms and Conditions, the administration of NEH Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Grants, and 2 CFR Part 200 all provide information about managing your award and accessing funds, record keeping, reporting requirements, gift eligibility, actions requiring prior approval from NEH, and more. The offer letter provides links to these documents, and they're also all available on the NEH website. An offer is not an award or a guarantee of an award. An offer formally communicates the level of funding approved for your project, the third-party non-federal gifts that must be raised and certified, and the conditions that must be met before an award can be made. Only when these requirements are met will an award of federal matching funds be issued, and only when an award is issued may you begin to draw down funds for allowable project costs. Your offer letter will include a period of performance, which is the time period in which you are performing the activities and incurring allowable costs associated with the award, and a fundraising period. The period of performance and the funding period are separate but overlapping timelines. Please note that this slide shows a sample timeline. Yours will depend upon the needs of your particular project. Also note that the fundraising period doesn't extend quite to the end of the award period. We need time to process gift certifications, and you need time to draw down those funds. Generally, NEH would like you to certify all of your funds by the annual July 31st deadline, the year prior to the end of your award period. But this can be extended to closer to the end of your project period as necessary. So as you look at your offer letter, please review all the dates and ensure that they align with your proposed work plan and any internal timelines that you have for your project. If they do not align, or if your project work plan has changed since your application was submitted to NEH, please let us know. Your work plan, fundraising schedule, and period of performance should all align and reflect the time necessary to complete all activities proposed in your application. For this round of challenge grants, the period of performance cannot start earlier than March 1st, 2024. Your offer letter will also include a gifts and matching schedule, which will list NEH's offer of federal matching funds, the matching ratio, the required third-party non-federal gifts to be raised, and the total budget for each year of your project. For example, perhaps NEH has offered you $500,000 in matching funds, as is reflected in this chart, requiring $1.5 million in non-federal third-party gifts. Your certification schedule might indicate that you need to raise $150,000 in the first year in order to release $50,000 in matching funds, but then require $450,000 of gifts in the second year to release $150,000 in matching funds. This schedule should work in conjunction with your fundraising schedule and your work plan so that you have the time you need to raise the gifts necessary by each annual deadline. As I mentioned, two things need to occur to make an offer an award and to allow you to draw down funds. The first is that you must begin to fundraise and certify gifts to meet the NEH matching requirement. Again, when you receive your offer letter, please review the funding schedule showing your annual certification requirement. This is included in the offer letter, and it's also in the EGMS Reach. The annual deadline for certification is July 31st. But please certify gifts as soon as you have them, even if they exceed your annual requirement. NEH may be able to release federal matching funds ahead of schedule. If you're unable to meet your annual deadline of July 31 for gift certification, it's important to notify NEH early. Otherwise, that annual amount could be forfeited and your total award amount reduced accordingly. The fundraising period for this cycle of challenge grants began on December 18th, 2022, which was 5 months prior to the application deadline, and will continue through the final year of your period of performance. Many of you have certified gifts or are already fundraising, which is great. For most projects, you will see that your first gift certification is due by July 31st, 2024. The certification of matching gifts for challenge grants form can be found on the program resources page for the Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants or under Organizations on the Manage Your Grant portion of the NEH website. For gifts over $5,000, please submit donor documentation along with the certification forms. Gifts under $5,000 do not require donor documentation. It's useful to certify your gifts as soon as possible, as soon as you have them, but please don't submit certification forms more than 3 times per fiscal year. That is, if you receive gifts that exceed your annual schedule, it's best to go ahead and certify those gifts, but don't submit a new form for every $1,000 gift you receive. Again, certify early, but no more than 3 times a year. Completed certification forms and supporting documentation must be uploaded to EGMS Reach. Once documentation has been received, NEH staff will review it to ensure all pledges and gifts are eligible and appropriate. Further guidance on submitting the certification form and eligible third-party non-federal gifts is available under the Administration of NEH Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants, also located, again, under the Manage Your Grant section of the NEH website. Just a quick note, you will use this form that's on the NEH website while you're in the offer stage. Once you have an award, there's a form within EGMS that Reach that you can use to submit those gift certifications. In addition to certifying gifts, the second thing that must occur for NEH to issue an award and to allow the drawdown of funds is that all of the conditions of the offer letter must be met. Each challenge project is unique, and as a result, each offer letter has different terms and conditions. NEH staff will work with each of you individually as you submit required materials. However, we want to offer a general overview of the types of conditions you are likely to encounter, especially as it relates to your projects proposing construction or ground disturbing activities. We want to support you in meeting these conditions quickly so that you're able to implement your project without delays and have funds released as soon as you certify your gifts. The next few slides show some of the common conditions that you may see in your offer letter. Again, some of these will apply to most of you. A few of them may not apply to your particular project, so you'll have to wait to see your offer letter. The most common condition on the offer letter probably is a request for a revised budget. This may be due to a calculation error in the application, the need for additional information about a particular budget line, or a total project cost that is above or below the amount approved. If NEH has approved, for instance, has approved less than you requested, a revised budget form and a revised budget justification will certainly be required. For purposes of your offer and award budget, there's no distinction between federal matching funds and certified non-federal gifts. For example, if your NEH offer is $500,000 and you are required to raise $3 for every $1 of NEH matching funds, your budget should reflect exactly $2 million of eligible expenses. All items must be eligible and appropriate and within the scope of the project as described in your application. If any items on your original budget were ineligible, or if the total cost is above or below the amount of NEH funding plus certified non-federal gifts, a revised budget will be required. Another common reason for revised budget is that the SF424C or the budget justification requires additional explanation. That is, sometimes the budget form itself is fine, but the budget justification doesn't provide sufficient detail about included costs. NEH may ask for a further breakdown of particular line items, such as staff salaries, or ask for the cost basis used to calculate certain expenses, such as square foot per item. If you have existing information that provides this, we're more than happy to review it. We know that for many of you, NEH funding and the certified gifts account for a small portion of the overall project, so questions may arise about what aspects to include or not in the NEH budget. So if you have questions or concerns related to your project or fundraising, please reach out to us directly. Another common condition included in the offer letter relates to NEH's requirement to comply with the National Historic Preservation Act and the National Environmental Policy Act. NEH is required by federal law to review grant applications involving construction, renovation, repair, rehabilitation, or ground or visual disturbance under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and the National Environmental Policy Act. Your offer letter will contain Section 106 and NEPA terms if they are applicable to your project. Keep in mind that your organization cannot begin any physical work on challenge grant projects, including site clearance, and NEH cannot release any federal funds until we have completed the Section 106 and NEPA reviews. Pre-construction work, such as planning, design, permitting, and compliance with Section 106 and NEPA can be done. Section 106 requires NEH to consider whether a federally funded project is a Section 106 undertaking, if it will have an effect on historic properties, and if any effect will be adverse. NEH delegates the initiation of Section 106 to recipients. The delegation letter is available on the Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants page on the NEH website with additional details. All projects that include the following activities will require the completion of Section 106 review prior to issuing an award. So all new construction, facility expansion projects, alteration and renovation projects where exterior changes to the building facade or surroundings may be made, including roof, windows, parking lots. Projects where interior renovations may be made to a building that is over 50 years old or is historically, architecturally, or culturally significant, and ground disturbance such as grading or other site preparation. We will schedule a phone or video call with your team to discuss circumstances of your particular project and ensure that you have the information required to begin the review with your state historic preservation officer. NEPA requires NEH to consider the potential effects of a federally funded project on the natural and human environment prior to the expenditure of NEH funds. While the vast majority of NEH projects will not require additional review under NEPA, projects that have a significant federal contribution, involve extraordinary circumstances, or do not fall within NEH's categorical exclusions may require preparation of a concise environmental assessment. Again, this will be included in your offer letter if it's applicable to your project. Because NEH is not physically on site and does not have all the details of your project, we need your help completing our Section 106 and NEPA reviews. The information and cooperation you provide can make the process much easier and much smoother. Recipients may use project funds to complete Section 106 and NEPA compliance. If you do not have staff, you may hire a consultant. Again, NEPA and 106 must be completed by NEH prior to initiating ground disturbance, construction, and renovation work. Planning, pre-construction, grant administration, and preparing related documentation are allowable. A technical assistance webinar is available on the NEH website at the address shown on the screen. A final common condition listed in an offer letter pertains to federal interest. When a recipient uses NEH funds to purchase land or buildings or to construct or renovate a facility, it creates a federal interest. Federal interest secures the right of NEH to recover its funding in the event the property is no longer used for the approved humanities purposes within the federal interest period. Period of federal interest extends 5 years from the period of the performance end date. During the period of federal interest, all recipients with projects involving property acquisition, construction, or renovation are required to submit an annual real property status report at EGMS REACH. Recipients receiving federal funding greater than $500,000 are required to attach a lien to the property called a notice of federal interest. The NFI will expire, again, 5 years from the NEH award period end date. Please refer to the administration of NEH Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge grants for further information. Your offer letter will also reference several other requirements that apply to federally funded construction projects. It is your responsibility as a grant recipient to familiarize yourself with the requirements and keep associated records. These requirements are either directly referenced in your offer letters or incorporated by reference to 2 CFR 200, apply to construction or renovation contracting. So ensure that your construction contracts comply with the requirements in 2 CFR 200 for general procurement standards, the Build America, Buy America Act, which is required for all awards made after May of 2022. Davis-Bacon, which requires that laborers and mechanics employed by contractors or subcontractors shall be paid prevailing wages as determined by the Secretary of Labor, and fair and open competition. Additional information and resources on these, again, it is available on the resource page. You should accept, or I guess decline, but we hope accept your offer promptly. The offer letter includes a date by which you must accept the offer. It's usually within 30 days. That does not mean you have to meet all of the conditions within that time period. It just means that you accept the offer with the conditions that are listed. You have a longer period to meet the conditions, of course. Once you've accepted the offer, your project enters the offer stage, where it will remain until you've met the conditions, again, such as a revised budget, Section 106 review, and certified some gifts, at which point it officially becomes an award. In a few weeks from now, once you've received the offer letter, your NEH program officer will reach out to schedule a meeting between NEH staff and each project director, institutional grant administrator, and other project staff you would like to include in order to discuss the specific conditions, funding schedule, project timeline, and other requirements with you and your team. As I mentioned, every offer letter will be unique, and you will see slightly different terms and conditions depending on the scope of the activities proposed in your application. For instance, interior-only renovations are much less likely to trigger an environmental review, for instance. We've already stressed the importance of using EGMS to communicate to ensure that all of the pertinent staff members can see your questions and documents. While we want to be kept up to date about any changes you think are important, I want to emphasize that there are a few key situations that require prior approval that you should be sure to let us know about as soon as possible. These include anticipated changes to the budget, project scope, key personnel, or significant changes to your timeline for fundraising or work plan that might result in an extension or modified certification schedule. We want to work with you to avoid any pitfalls, but the best way to do that is with regular communication. We know that challenge projects can be complicated and may meet with unexpected challenges or delays. We know this is a lot to take in, and many of you are probably wondering about next steps. First, don't forget that you can start fundraising immediately. If you have gifts on hand to certify, be sure that they were raised after December 18th, 2022, and prepare the gift certification form. Again, check the Administration of Challenge Grants document for additional information on eligible gifts. When your offer letter arrives, review it very carefully and note the dates for period of performance, schedule for certifying gifts. Check these dates against your own work plan and any internal schedules your organization may have for your project, and make note of any discrepancies. And then plan to schedule a call with your program officer and grant management staff to discuss the terms and conditions of your offer and to begin the review process for Section 106 and/or NEPA. The project director and IGA both must participate in the call. However, other team members or outside consultants or contractors, such as an architect, may also join as appropriate. Most project directors find that it is most helpful to wait until the offer letter arrives before setting up a meeting. But if you have immediate questions, please don't hesitate to contact NEH staff. And of course, please contact us right away if your project plans have changed substantially since the application was submitted, or if you already have a change in project director or IGA. I hope this information provides a bit of a roadmap to what is coming next for your infrastructure and capacity building challenge grant. Please know that each of us is here to help walk you through the offer and any associated conditions, and generally to support your project as much as we can. We want to see you succeed and are looking forward to working with each of you as you move forward. So thank you for joining us today. My colleagues have been monitoring the questions and will now spend a bit of time answering general inquiries. Please continue to enter questions in the chat box, and don't forget to include your name and institution so that we can respond directly if we run out of time or need to follow up after the webinar. And with that, I will maybe leave this here and take a look at questions. Are there particular questions that people have so far that I haven't covered? Thank you to everybody also for the introductions. It's great to see the wide range of projects and institutions that have come in. You will not receive. So one question: will we receive the offer letter by email? You'll get an email. You'll receive an email that says the offer letter has been uploaded to EGMS Reach, and so then you'll have access to the offer letter within EGMS Reach. So you'll need to log in to get the offer letter. The project director and IGA may not be the same person for uploading content. So and that will be one of the, if the PD and IGA are the same on your grant, that will be one of the first conditions that we'll need you to meet, is to make sure that there are two separate people. So the director and IGA can't be the same person. Pursuant to federal interests, is payback required if the organization experiences a disaster that damages property? I might let someone else, someone in grant management, answer that, but
yeah. So John, no, don't worry. Well, so the federal interest for us is solely for you to continue to use the property for the purpose of which it was intended under the grant. If there's a disaster, God forbid, then that's a totally different situation. But no, you would not be required to pay it back. If you might be if you suddenly turned your facility into an Airbnb, but otherwise you should be fine.
Great, thank you, Ann. Can you tell, Nicole asked, can you tell us about NEH's requirements for restricting gifts and funds raised? I might need a little more detail there. Nicole, if you could yeah, maybe add a little bit there. You might check also the administration guidance that has a good bit of information about the requirements for certifying gifts. You mentioned the PDA and IGA should be the ones communicating. You also mentioned PDA should not share, delegate, share login. So you can, so the question is, the project director is a high-level person. We want to have a less senior person do some of the paperwork management. And so to add somebody to EGMS reach on a project, that person needs to have a specific role, but we can allow somebody, for instance, to be assigned to submit financial reports, right, or something like that. So so there is an allowance for that sort of thing, Sarah, and we can work with you during our meeting. Our individual meeting, we can sort that out. Helen asks, our grant relates to the care and preservation of our collection, and as such does not include any construction related elements. It is related to larger construction. Do the review reporting requirements change given the non-construction scope, or are they the same? And it sort of depends, Helen, on how you scope the project in the award. And so we'll talk about your particular case in your individual meeting, right? But the NEH requirements apply to the NEH scope, to the portion, the NEH funded part of the project, NEH plus the match. And so if NEH is awarded you $500,000 and matched with $1.5 million, that $2 million, right? The conditions and the apply to that, but they may not apply in the same way to the larger $40 million project that you're working on. So it depends. Okay, so Nicole, back to the question about certification form. Are we required to demonstrate that the funds raised are restricted in our books or otherwise designated for the project? Yes, you are. So you can certify a certain amount of unrestricted gifts that would apply to the project, but by and large, the gifts need to be specifically for the activities within scope of the NEH project. So, for instance, a donor letter might say, you know, this is for this specific project. I understand that my gift is going to be used to release NEH funds. And Nicole, we can address more specific questions about that, about how to document that if you like, during our meeting. Curtis asks, when should we expect the offer letter to be sent out? You should get it by mid-February. So probably, yeah. So within a few weeks. So 3 to 4 weeks from now. Other questions or anything else? Any other NEH staff want to jump on and talk about things I've missed?
Hi, I just want to mention, John, and to the audience that if you have any questions regarding your offer, soon to be offer, please submit it in an email, because I don't think they have access to EGMS right now. Not until we send out the offers letters.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clear that up. Yeah. So you have to send an email. And as for the restricted gifts, if you could send me an email and I can follow up with you to give you more specific information on how restricted funds are handled. I really don't like to talk about it in an audience because each grant is different. So if you would send me an email to pthompson@neh.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. So here's an excellent question. How long would 106 review generally take with no known environmental issues? And we have preliminary approval from our SHPO. Section 106 review can take big different of time, or there's a wide range of times that are required for 106. I think Anne, what's the average now?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a project that does not have any, like, it's not an adverse effect, it's not a historic building, then generally when you submit the formal Section 106 documentation to the SHPO, however long that takes for you to prepare, the state has 30 days to respond by statute and regulation. And then, we need to review and then prepare a public notice for the general public and any consulting parties to respond to. That's a really straightforward, simple process. So I'd say, less than 3 months. But I don't know what preliminary approval from SHPO means. Maybe you've already done this. I'm not sure, but let's say less than 3 months on the happy path.
So if things go smoothly, yes, then you can plan to have it done in 3 months. A lot of Section 106 review processes take longer than that. They can take a year. So I would say be sure we'll discuss those in detail with each of you in our individual meetings, but you'll need to work that into your work plan.
What I would say, John, is just if you do not have on-staff expertise in Section 106, because we are delegating the initiation of the process to you, meaning you have to prepare the documentation on our behalf, that it would behoove you to look at consultants for you to support you, because otherwise you'll find that it will take much longer to get through this process. And those are allowable costs under this award.
Great, thank you, Anne. Are there other questions or anything else? Well, again, the offer letter should be coming out. Will be posted within our EGMS Reach system by mid-February, and then you'll get an email that gives you access to those. I think you'll have access to this recording, maybe not forever, but for as long as you need it. So we won't take it down anytime soon. But again, you'll get access to your offer within a month, and then we'll set up meetings with each of you to discuss the specific conditions of your offer. But in the meantime, happy fundraising, and let us know if there are issues or questions that you have. Again, until you get an offer, you'll need to correspond with us through email. But once the offers come and you have access to EGMS Reach, then all the communication will be through our system. So thanks very much. Thank you, Nicole. I hope everyone has found it useful, and stay in touch. We look forward to working with all of you.